And there he is, number one, Jalen Hurts, Eagles quarterback, taking his place as the Eagles prepare for their second day of training camp practice here at the NovaCare Complex. Our coverage presented by DraftKings. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Eagles insider Dave Spadaro, along with Fran Duffy in South Philadelphia on a kind of murky day. Fran, feels like fall, feels like football, and we expect Jalen and Devontae to have quite a connection in 2021.
Yeah, we saw some good things from both guys yesterday on Wednesday, the first day of Eagles training camp. Excited for day two. Hopefully the rain can hold out a little bit. It feels like it might get a little wet out there.
So I was literally just up in Coach Nick Sirianni's office as we take a look at Steven Nelson. Had a chance to speak to him yesterday. Feature on PhiladelphiaEagles.com, also featured in my Eagles Insider podcast that was released this morning. And Nick talking, I was struck, Fran, by how quickly the Eagles got into 11 on 11. First day of camp, like right away.
Yep.
And he said, well, that's just what I believe in. I believe in competing. And if there's any sense of easing off, Greg Ward back at practice here today, good sign. If there's any sense of, I said, you didn't ease off at all. He said, well, the only thing I did to ease off was to maybe save their legs a little bit and do red zone drills. But I believe in competition, and I believe in tempo, and I believe in guys really showing me what they got. And I thought, Fran, yesterday, even though they're not in full pads and they're not tackling, it was physical, it was competitive, and the tempo was great.
It was not a country club out there on Wednesday, and obviously it's limited in terms of the amount of contact. We see Jalen Reagor out there as well. Did not fully practice yesterday, so that's good to see. But I think when you see just the edginess of practice in a really good way, I thought we saw that really on both sides of the football on Wednesday. Yeah,
so we are here for day two. We're going to bring you our exclusive live coverage of Eagles training camp presented by DraftKings here at the NovaCare Complex. We were a little worried when the rain came down earlier as we take a look at the bedazzled Zach Ertz with the blonde do and Jason Kelce with the Jason Kelce do. I guess I would call these two stylish veterans here at Eagles training camp 2021. And I don't know, I just feel like every time the Eagles line up, we learn a whole lot more about this football team because honestly, there are so many new pieces, Fran. There's so many new parts, and getting to know Nick has been really interesting. One of the conversations that we had was, hey, your wife was there, your two kids were there, your father's there, and it was a really important moment for him, and it has been throughout his career, to have his family share in his coaching success. And I that human element is just, I think, really cool and something that a lot of people in the football world don't acknowledge. Nick Sirianni not afraid to acknowledge that at all. In fact, he embraces it.
Yeah, and to me, that's always been the thing that has struck me. And we haven't been in the building all offseason, obviously, due to COVID-19, but just the energy, and it's genuine energy, right? It's not forced, and I feel like everybody feels that and reacts off of it. There's a lot of juice in the building, and it feels really good. By the way, we just saw Dallas Goedert. He's got some new hair as well. You just have to see on the left side of the screen.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I kind of hesitated because I was like, wait, who is that? Dallas Goedert, hair gone wild. Fantastic. We are going to take a look throughout the day here, Miles Sanders, at the Eagles wide receivers. Post-practice, we've got some good stuff for you as well. I'm going to sit down, we hope, with Miles and with Anthony Harris. I wonder if you could ask one question of Miles Sanders, Fran, what would it be? By the way, Andre Dillard taking reps with the number ones yesterday at left tackle.
Yep.
I still believe that there will be a great battle between Dillard and Jordan Mailata. I think that is kind of the battle to watch as far as a starting position goes on the offense. But if you could ask Miles Sanders one question, what would it be?
I would just be excited to just hear about his excitement for more involvement in the pass game. Obviously, lots of trouble. We talked about that yesterday right here on this stream about the issues they had in the pass game. Just couldn't get connected for a number of reasons last year, and it certainly seems like that'll be different here this fall.
Lane Johnson, part of an offensive line that the Eagles are excited about. They got right next to you. They don't go anywhere without being right next to each other. Lane and Brandon Brooks, they're kind of like the twins here on the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. And boy, oh boy, did the Eagles miss those two last season. Brooks, of course, tearing his Achilles tendon in the spring, out all year. Lane battling knee and ankle injuries. Very limited last season. Eagles paying the price up front, now reaping the rewards because a lot of those young players, the Jack Driscolls, the Nate Herbigs, getting Jordan Mailata getting playing time. And now all of a sudden you look at an offensive line that is talented up front starting and really, really deep as you go along. And you're going to need that depth in the 17-game regular season.
You know you will. And one guy, Jack Driscoll, I thought he looked really good yesterday. Dave, one of my early picks for the battles I can't wait to watch all training camp long is going to be Jack Driscoll, the second-year offensive tackle out of Auburn, going up against Ryan Kerrigan, the newly signed defensive end here this summer. Remember, a year ago, week 1, down in Washington, Driscoll made his first start, his first NFL action, and saw a large amount of reps against Ryan Kerrigan. 11 months later, those guys are teammates. It was something we wrote about yesterday. Myself, Chris McPherson, Ben Fennell, every day we put out our practice notes where we're just kind of taking notes while watching practice. And just watching those two go at it yesterday was a lot of fun.
If you are just joining us, we welcome you to the NovaCare Complex in South Philadelphia. It's our continuing coverage of the 2021 Philadelphia Eagles training camp presented by DraftKings. Eagles insider Dave Spadaro with you, along with our guru of X's and O's, Fran Duffy, and John Hightower, one of those wide receivers, Fran. Okay, we all focus on Devontae Smith. We all talk a lot about Jalen Reagor. Greg Ward is Mr. Reliable inside. The Eagles used 3 draft picks in 2020 on the position. Quez Watkins, Hightower, Reagor. John Hightower, I thought yesterday, flashed a bit. I mean, I thought he had a good day.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that I'm just excited to see what kind of jump he can make in year 2. We didn't have Quez Watkins on the field yesterday, but you think about the resources put into the receiver position through the draft just over the last couple of years. You mentioned the 3 picks a year ago, obviously a top 10 draft choice in Devontae Smith. A couple of years ago, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who continues to improve, and you saw that yesterday down in the red zone. There were a couple times where he ran some really nice routes to create some separation. So I'm excited to see more of Arcega-Whiteside here this summer and see how he's improved. We see him there. I'm excited about this receiver group. It's obviously it's young, one of the few teams in the NFL where there's not really that veteran, right? That guy that's a battle-tested veteran in the group, but it's a young group, and I'm excited to watch them here this summer.
You know, let's talk about JJ as we take a look at him. Second-round draft pick a few years ago. Has not been as productive as he would like to have been, nor the Eagles would like him to have been. And yet you don't give up on somebody. Sometimes it takes receivers a while to develop, mature, get their games together for the NFL level. What does he need to do, Fran? Look, we know he's got the size. He's not going to run past a lot of cornerbacks, but because at Stanford, what he did was he went up and got those 50-50 balls. Hasn't really gotten the chance to do that here with Philadelphia. Hasn't made the most of his opportunities when he's had them. You know, and look, I think that honestly, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is certainly not guaranteed a roster spot.
Yeah, it's one of those things. And remember, like years ago, Dave, it used to be just kind of common knowledge. Oh, well, it always takes 3 years for receivers. And now we're in year 3 here for J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. So I'm interested. I mentioned earlier, you saw incremental improvement last year, and I think we've seen another step in the limited action we've seen of him so far. So I'm excited for, number one, more practice. I'm excited for once we get to these joint practices here this summer, and then obviously the preseason games, just to see how far he's come along. Because those are the areas when you show that ability to go up and win at the catch point, and and win above the rim, and all those things, you also need to be able to create separation. That's the big jump from college to the NFL.
Well, we will see. There's Shane Steichen. We've got Jonathan Gannon. We've got Nick Sirianni, the 2 coordinators and the head coach. A little powwow as practice goes along here. Talk to Nick again about, one of his big things is holding accountability, holding everybody accountable. So he went after himself and his coaching staff as well as the players, just very intently watching the tape from the first practice yesterday and looking to be better in day number 2 on this Thursday here at the NovaCare Complex. We're live in South Philadelphia. We'll be live with you. There's Jason Michael, the tight ends coach there. We'll be live when we have the opportunity to be live here at the South Philadelphia NovaCare Complex. We're excited about this, Fran. We know that Eagles fans around the world are tuning in. We thank you so much for your support. We invite everyone to come to our public practices on the 8th of August and the 22nd of August. Those practices held at the Lincoln Financial Field. It is a great, great, great way for you to take a look at the Eagles up close and personal and have a fantastic family experiences. Tickets are only $10. All proceeds going to the Eagles Autism Foundation. Working on some foundation drills here, Fran. What are we looking at?
So you're looking at these guys. First, this is a block destruction drill. So these guys are going to work on taking on a block, getting off, and then getting to the ball carrier. You could see one of the things they're emphasizing there at the end, Dave, punching the ball out. That was a sense I got watching practice yesterday. Definitely a point of emphasis with this defensive staff on creating turnovers. And it looks like, even looking in the background there, the defensive linemen are working through a little bit of a turnover circuit as well. So it looks like the whole defense going to go through a series of drills where they're going to focus entirely on trying to get the ball on the ground and create some turnovers, but which is good to see for certain.
Hey, Fran, this defense wants to be what? A takeaway machine.
Well, it's and that's always one of the big debates is, can you coach turnovers, or is that something that just kind of happens throughout? And clearly this staff believes, hey, we're going to continue to drill this, and we're going to drive it home every single day in practice.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly, I think there was a fumble before the defensive player got there. But no, I mean, it's a mindset for sure, but you preach and you practice,
Yep.
and then it just becomes a habit. And, hey, there's Fletch. Look at the nimble feet of Fletcher Cox. I've asked this question of people around the office for a long time. Do you think you could beat any Eagles player in a 40-yard dash or a 60-yard dash? And you look at a 320-pound man doing that, and the answer is a resounding no way.
No, you look at some of these guys. I mean, Dave, you've been out to the combine. And you see when these guys are at like their physical peak and they're training for these events. And that's what I was actually going to say this when you were talking about coming out to public practice. For a tip for people that have never been, get there early. Make sure you get a seat as close as possible, just to see these guys, as big as they are, move the way that they do, and depending on the level of contact, the impacts that you have on the sideline. It's these guys are absolutely the best of their profession. It's because of their peak physical condition.
I've long advocated for this is my television concept. Get a bunch of retired athletes, break them up by sport, and hold your own Olympics and find out which athletes are the best, which professional players are the best athletes. I gotta believe football players, in a triathlon kind of setting or a decathlon kind of setting, I think NFL players would fare very, very well. They are explosive players. They have great hand-eye coordination for the most part, and they've got that burst, Fran. That's what separates, to me, a good player in the NFL from a really great player.
Honestly, I've been itching for training camp to get here. So watching the Olympic coverage over the last week or so, I've been really annoying my wife because I'll watch it and I'll be marveling at the athletic prowess of some of these athletes out there. Regardless of what sport we're watching, water polo, it doesn't matter what we're watching. And I think I wonder what sport some of the guys here on the Eagles would be best at. So I'll ask you this: what would be your Olympic sport if you could go for one Olympic sport? What would be the one you would go
for
with?
me?
For you personally?
Basketball.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would love to be an Olympic basketball player. Are you kidding me?
What do you think you'd have their best shot at being able to compete at?
I would have my best shot at table tennis.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that there's a whole lot of Olympic sports out there. I'm not really into the whitewater rafting or the skateboarding. I don't really see. I'm not sure that when e-gaming comes along, I'm not sure that's really an Olympic sport, but I'm sure that will be
at some point. That'll get there. The archery, not your bag.
But those are like Greco-Roman days.
Right,
those are
sure.
cool. That stuff's fine. That's the OG Olympics, not this new school Olympics. But we don't care about the Olympics at the moment. We care about Philadelphia Eagles football. And you're watching our training camp coverage live here at the NovaCare Complex, presented by DraftKings. Dave Spadaro, Fran Duffy with you. Very, very cool setting here. It feels so normal. Everyone vaccinated out there who's a fan who comes into the facility. And Fran, having the fans here yesterday, having them back today, it just provides energy. It provides context. And it reminds you just how much we missed everybody in 2020.
Even getting out there, after we finished our practice stream, we get out and the first drill I saw, the tight ends running routes on air down in the red zone. So they're running not against the defender, they're just running a route and catching a pass in the end zone. And you hear Zach Ertz catch a touchdown, or Jason Kroom making a catch and getting praise, and everybody's cheering. You're like, I just miss that feeling. We didn't have that a year ago.
And there is Nick Rellis working with the linebackers. Nick is 27 years old,
Yep.
26 years old. Super into it, loves the game, former player at the University of Minnesota, and somebody who is peer-to-peer with these Eagles players. It is fascinating to me, Fran, having been here for so many years, to be around a coaching staff that is so young, that can really relate to the players, everything they're going through on the field, off the field, in their lives. I think that will be a benefit as we move forward.
Yeah, and guys, again, I talked a lot about the energy. You feel that as well, and you could see that whether it's Nick Rallis going through the drills with his guys. Nick Sirianni has been known to go through the drills with these players from top to bottom. That energy is felt both in the meeting room and out on the practice field.
So we're taking a live look at Eagles training camp on this Thursday in South Philadelphia, day 2 of the Eagles on the football field. I love this drill that we're going to check to the cornerbacks here. Look at these guys running through the drills and make the catch. Steven Nelson, brings it in. It's not just being in position, Fran. It's actually when you have a chance to get your hands on the ball. There you go, a line of scrimmage, backpedaling, getting out of, breaking out. Little route there that they're going to step in front of the wide receiver, right, Fran? Let's run through what's important here.
So you're going to see the lateral quickness, and then you're going to get them. Basically, they're pretending they're in press coverage. Then they're dropping out into zone. So now they're dropping out into zone right here. Break on the football, get eyes back to the quarterback, and finish. That's the goal here. Is you're practicing some of your zone drops. More likely cover 2 there, I would say, if you're going to be that shallow, turning back to find the football. But that's what you're seeing here in this drill. This is a new one. We haven't seen this here in Philadelphia.
Now, when they turn their backs to the quarterback right here, they're literally just keeping their eyes on the wide receiver. You don't want to peek back at the quarterback there. Is that the danger that some cornerbacks and some of the problems that some cornerbacks fall into?
Yeah, so if you're in man-to-man, you have to try and maintain that relationship with the receiver. If they're in zone, they have to get to their landmarks. You might see hey, I'm going to look at the bag because I'm trying to find my spot where I've got to get to in zone coverage. Now I can get my eyes back to the quarterback. And if it's in man, you're watching the receiver. If you see that receiver start to look back for the football, that's your clue. That's your cue to now you got to get your eyes back and try and find it and come away with the interception.
And then get your feet inbounds. Yes. Make the play. If you have an opportunity to make the play, then do it. All right, so let's hear just one thing that we're really keeping our eyes on. New systems, new responsibilities for players. Here is Joe Osman, a down, hand in the dirt defensive end. Previously, could be working in that capacity at some point, but right now, working with the linebackers, and that's going to happen, Fran, throughout this roster. Players with new responsibilities. Genard Avery, another one of those.
Genard Avery, one of those guys. We saw that with Patrick Johnson, and he was drafted as a linebacker. And we see Davion Taylor got reps with the first team yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was a big advancement for him.
And there's Genard Avery right there.
There's Genard Avery, number 58. It's tough to see 58 and not think of former Eagle Trent Cole, too. I always think of T. Cole. But no, Genard Avery, Joe Osman, different kind of role for sure in this defense.
And so if you're Genard Avery and you've kind of moved around, you've been hand in the dirt. I think in Cleveland he probably did a little bit of both. Adjustment from going from hand in the dirt to stand up and dropping in coverage. The dropping in coverage part is the really difficult. These are players who are used to moving forward, not dropping and retreating.
Yep, and even when you talk to defensive ends, when it comes to the difference between playing their hand in the dirt or even just standing up, and staying all in line of scrimmage, you're seeing the game completely differently. And that's the tough part for guys making that transition. You are seeing the game from a completely different vantage point. And if you've played the game, if you've played any sport, and you think about when you're changing positions, everything that you do is going to be different. Now, the good thing about Genard Avery, when he was at Memphis, he played all over the place. So he's got some experience seeing the game from that vantage point. But some guys, it's going to be a little bit more of an adjustment.
What did we see at linebacker yesterday? We saw Eric Wilson playing at the mic. We did see Davion Taylor getting some reps with the ones.
Yep.
We are obviously Alex Singleton out for a while here for another, 8 or 9 days. I think obviously the coaching staff still in a period of discovery. But what did you see, Fran, just from who's taking reps where?
Yeah, so it looked like you mentioned, Davion Taylor was working with the first team alongside Eric Wilson. That second team, it seemed to be Sean Bradley, the second-year linebacker out of Temple, alongside T.J. Edwards, the former undrafted free agent out of Wisconsin. And then third team, you had Rashad Smith, I believe a second-year linebacker out of FAU, alongside the rookie Jacoby Stevens, who was the middle linebacker with the third team, was calling the defense. We noted in our practice report yesterday, was making the defensive calls for the third-team defense.
Now, Jacoby Stevens, 7th-round draft pick out of LSU, who was a safety.
He was a college safety.
But was he more of a hybrid there?
So he played pure box safety. Think back to like Malcolm Jenkins, who played he was a strong safety, but spent so much time down at the line of scrimmage, and that's what gave a lot of people the faith that he could make that jump to the linebacker spot in the NFL. I remember watching him with that national championship year when he was a junior and thinking this guy has the ability to be a linebacker. We talked about it all the time on the Journey to the Draft podcast, and that's how the Eagles saw him too. And that's why it was interesting, though. A college safety right away, day one training camp, he's making the defensive calls, albeit with the third-team defense, but still impressive to see.
You're looking at Eagles Training Camp 2021, presented by DraftKings. We're live from the NovaCare Complex in South Philadelphia. I'm Eagles insider Dave Spadaro, along with Fran Duffy, and we're having some fun here as the Eagles getting through the paces in day two. Very, very aggressive first day, shorter practice, about an hour and 12 minutes yesterday. We expect it to be a longer practice today. We're here for the first few periods just to give you a taste of what's happening behind the scenes. We encourage you and invite you to our public practices, two of them here in August 8th, August 22nd, both at Lincoln Financial Field. The cost is only $10, all proceeds going to the Eagles Autism Foundation. Please join us. You'll really enjoy it. It's a great family experience at the stadium. Eagles football, something that everybody missed in person in 2020. Now we are open for business, and we would love to see you there. Make sure you get some more information and get your tickets on PhiladelphiaEagles.com as Jalen Reagor with the catch gets the feet in bounds and turns up the field. Nick Mullins in as the third quarterback here in the room. We don't know how it's going to all kind of work out, right? It's going to be Jalen Hurts taking first-team reps in practice today, Joe Flacco taking the second-team reps, and Nick Mullins taking the third-team reps. And as Nick Sirianni said yesterday, Jalen Hurts has earned those first-team reps. That doesn't mean there won't be competition, but for right now, Jalen Hurts has earned those first-team reps.
Yeah, and he's going to continue to try and build this rapport with this starting group. You see him throwing there to Dallas Goedert. Excited to see the jump, because again, such a small sample size a year ago with Jalen Hurts. Remember, at times was mostly working as the third-string quarterback a year ago at this time. So a huge jump in terms of the amount of reps, especially quality reps here at this training camp compared to last.
And if you wonder why quarterbacks wear the red jerseys, I will put this out as boldly as I can. Do not touch the quarterback. And that's just the way it's been in the NFL for a long, long time. You don't want to lose your quarterback in a training camp accident. So quarterbacks are off limits. We are not at the full contact portion of camp yet. We are not at the full pads portion of practice yet. I believe that begins on Monday.
That is good to hear. I did not know when that was going to begin.
Yeah. Now, the Eagles will practice Friday, and then Saturday evening around the league, practices are in the evening. So that is a big promotion that is going on with NFL football, NFL Network, as everybody welcomes back the NFL to training camp. And then Sunday is a day off for the players. Monday, I believe the players are back in pads.
Excited for that.
Yeah. Joe Flacco, Audubon, New Jersey, coming back home, has been really quiet. And when the one time that he met the media, kind of downplayed the whole idea of being on, coming back home. And sometimes that's tough for people. They're young and everybody wants tickets, and their former friends want a part of their lives. Joe Flacco's been in the league 14 years here.
Yeah.
This ain't no big deal other than he gets to go home to see mom and dad for dinner once a week.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit closer than where he had been already in Baltimore. I'm sure his closest family and friends were willing to make that trip over the course of his long career down there with the Ravens. So not going to be a shock to him for sure.
The offensive line, Fran, well, they are so important to quarterbacks, right? The offensive line, the Eagles believe, one of the best in the league here, with the return of Lane, with the return of Brandon Brooks, with the really expected intense competition at left tackle between Andre Dillard and Jordan Mailata. A throw that is too short there for Dallas Goedert there, Jalen Hurts. We work on some, what is this here? We're working on the run game here as we see Andre Dillard was he pulling from a guard position? Or I guess Opeta is lining up as a tight end there.
Yeah, he was lining up. It looked like you had Opeta working with Dillard. And what they're working on here, Dave, is what Coach Stalin likes to call surfacing blocks. So in the zone run game, you are working hand in hand with the lineman next to you. And you need those guys to be able to work good communication. The placement on the defender's got to be right, all to be able to make sure that you are executing those blocks efficiently.
And there we go, guys. We thank you very much for joining us here on this Thursday morning. Our continuing coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles Training Camp 2021, presented by DraftKings. Dave Spadaro, Fran Duffy. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Please join us. We've got great coverage for you throughout the day on our social channels, our official Eagles app, and PhiladelphiaEagles.com. Thanks for joining, everyone. See you tomorrow. In the meantime, have yourselves a great Eagles day. And as always, fly, Eagles, fly.